Our scripture reading today is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Let me
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 Lean on you.
Sorry. Let me
Lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Lean on you.
You know my
Soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
God. You said you'd be the strength of my life, and on you I can depend. You said, "Lo, I'll be with you all the way to the end." Through all of my trials, all my trials, my ups and downs. Through all of this, yeah, you know you've been my trusted friend. Just like Samson caught on you and asked you for strength. Right now, yeah, I'm calling on you. I'm calling you once again. Oh, yeah. Let me
Lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Lean on you.
You know my
Soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
Yeah, you said you'd be the strength of my life, and on you I can depend. You said, "Lo, I'll be with you all the way to the end." Through all of my trials, all my trials, my ups and downs. Through all of this, yeah, you know you've been my trusted friend. Just like Samson caught on you and asked you for strength. Right now, yeah, I'm calling on you. I'm calling you once again. Oh, Let me lean.
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 On you, yeah.
Let me lean.
Let me lean.
Let me lean.
Please let me lean.
Let me lean.
Let me lean.
Let me lean.
No, my
Soul needs resting.
no, my
Soul needs resting.
no, my
Soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Now, last Sabbath day, we went through the covenants coming through Abraham, Esaac, and Jacob. And Jacob, of course, who was surnamed Israel. And then we're going to begin at this point of Israel being handed off this covenant. You know, we hear these things about Yahweh is a covenant God. And the powers that be want you to not remember that. They want to tell you that, you know, that it really doesn't matter who the bloodline people are. Now, it is interesting how they say that it really doesn't matter as long as it's them. They say it doesn't matter when you start pulling up information that proves that it's not them, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. but it mattered before, but it doesn't matter when it's not them. But when you get to these things, you find out the entire basis of what we have been given goes to a specific group of people and then branches out to everybody else. So it definitely matters because those curses and blessings was placed on that specific group of people. What people want to deal with is only the blessings of Israel, but those curses were placed upon Israel as well. So we have to go through these things because it's getting to the point where there was a post about how it's a troubling trend that black Hebrew Israelites are saying that they are the children of Israel. They said that's troubling, and they need to deal with it before this stuff catches on. They must have just woke up. It been caught. It been caught. You start looking back, and it's people in the 70s who knew who we were, and they are what happens is when you the big powerful arrogant giant. You say you control all of these things, it don't matter. So they kept just brushing it off to the side. The problem is it's too late to brush it off. It's too late to brush this off at this point. And what we were supposed to do is to grab hold of, the Wakanda land. See, we were supposed to grab hold of a fictitious place with fictitious, people and say this is what we are. That's not real. Okay? And we were supposed to grab hold and stay on this African thing, which is why they wanted us to be termed as African American. And that's not what we did. And even those who proclaim or deal with the African thing will still say, I know who we are. So what the greatest fear is that we are going to start acting on the things that we now know. And that bothers the powers that be. That seriously bothers them. So now I want to read something that you have to keep in mind as we're going through this. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Elohim forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles. You have to just pause right there. All right? There's certain things that we've read over and over, but I need you to slow down. The fall of Israel was the riches of the Gentiles. So as Israel fell, the Gentiles rose. How is it that the people who claim to be Jews control the banking system? They own sports teams. They're billionaires. The bragging rights about how many millionaires are in Tel Aviv comes directly from Netanyahu's mouth in his new book. But if you say that they're rich and that they're controlling, now you are part of some anti-Semitic troop. But I'm repeating what you said. You said that y'all are rich and powerful and have all of this influence. So right here we have a conflict, and this comes from the New Testament. This is not an Old Testament writing. This is a New Testament writing here that says Israel has fallen and the Gentiles have risen. How do we have the Gentiles on top and people in Israel on top at the same time? So that doesn't fit what's written in this book. That's why they got to turn around and try to stop you or to try to make you feel some type of way to grab a hold of the learning, but let them be in control of it. And see, this is what a lot of our people were doing, not understanding, I'm going to go learn Hebrew. Because they said, I need to learn Hebrew. While you're learning Hebrew, they're trying to make sure that you come onto their side. Because they want to control how you are taught. And Yahweh spread us all across the globe. If Yahweh could only accept people who spoke one language, how is he the Elohim of the whole earth? How much more their fullness? For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles. Was Saul being anti-Semitic? See, you got a Jew talking to the Gentiles, and he's speaking with authority. I magnify mine office, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy, and if the root be holy, so are the branches. Boast not against the branches. This is exactly what we're living through. The consistent boasting against the branches. But if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root you. When you look at, I start to witness all of this dialogue that's going on, you find that the so-called Jews will accept you if you consent to their leadership. But you got to do a whole lot of things. You got to do the Mr. Bojangles for them to accept you. See, you got to do the song and dance. When they brought the Ethiopians over there, they had to convert to Judaism. Wait a minute. How you telling authentic people who've been dealing with it longer than you have, but they need to convert to what you are? That shows you how they were going to do this. So if they can talk us out of getting off this point now, they will only attack us later. So you have to be able to stand on who you are and be able to prove it out of this book, because they can't. It is why they have to throw around the terms. And while they throw in terms, you need to understand and be secure. Because it's one thing to have these conversations as we are amongst ourselves. You got to understand, your heart going to start racing when you surrounded by a bunch of people who don't look like you, and they have PhDs and all of this, and then you start to question yourself. You got to get ready for that. Understand that that's going to happen. And you got to stand through it. And revert back to the things that you know. So we're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 19. So those covenants have come all the way up from Abraham to Esaac to Jacob. And now everything that Jacob has fathered is the holy seed. Now, why is that important? Every other person that Yahweh has dealt with up until Jacob, and even after Jacob, they get one seed whom Yahweh is dealing with. They might have 20 kids. Yahweh deal with one of them. And then, even in the case of Abraham, Yahweh will come talk to you about one kid and you got 20. And he'll be talking like that's the only one you got. Yeah, you know your boy. No, I got 6 boys. Your boy. No, Yahweh, I got 6 boys. No, with me and you talking? You got one boy. You see what I'm saying? Then you take the other 5 and have my dad go cut some grass or something. Go do something. But when I talk to you, you understand what we're talking about? You got one boy. And I don't want to hear nothing about none of the other 5. All right, now I'm going to feed them. I'm going to give them victuals. I'm going to let them know they're going to be all right. But don't talk to me about the other 5 ever again. You understand what I'm saying? Don't ever talk to me about those other 5. That's how Yahweh deals. Until we get to Yaakov. And every last one is a holy seed. Never ever has it happened, and never ever will it happen again. That's how important this situation is. But then you fast forward to what's happening in Israel, what they say, oh, we don't know what happened to the lost tribes. There's a problem. Those lost tribes are holy seeds. The only situation where everything that proceeded out of one man was holy. The only situation that you're ever going to encounter like that. And the people in the land say, well, we got 2 of the seeds, so don't be looking for no other ones. There is a serious problem with that. And if you pay attention to the things that they're trying to get you to pay attention to, you go past the serious aggression. See, like the whole push to say you're being anti-Semitic, you're so busy trying to prove that you're not, you never question them. Show me where you are Shemitic to where I could actually be anti-Shemitic. So we pass the obvious, but it's designed that way. It is designed that way. People are supposed to feel so good that they claim to be the Jews that we're going to forget these other holy seeds. This is the only time that you're ever going to read about everything proceeding from one man being holy. Everything. You can't just let that slide. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 1. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Wait a minute. He's talking about a specific people being a peculiar treasure above all people. Now, when you start saying certain things, now you you have a problem. No. Your problem is with Yahweh. Your problem not with me. Go ahead.
And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation.
You shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. See, so the heathen hears these things, and the heathen says, I'm going to take these things into my possession. Go ahead.
These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yahweh has spoken we will do.
Right. We have agreed to the covenant. We have said, I do. We have accepted the marriage vows. See, the vows are read, and they say, an agreement, I do. We said, I do. We understand the house rules. We understand what it means. We understand the marital covenant. We do. Go ahead.
And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh.
Now, this is how things were different. Verse 9, and Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in the thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you. All the other people say, I spoke to God last night. We had to ask Moshe. We went talking. Hey, what Yahweh say to you? we heard the mountain quaking, and we heard the horn and the smoke and everything. We heard the words, but we didn't understand. Well, so we know he was talking to you. What did he say? When somebody else came and tell you God, they talked to God last night. We didn't hear no quaking, nothing. We didn't smell no smoke. When did he talk to you? We know when he talked to him. And he purposely made sure that everybody knew that he was talking to him. Because if anybody gonna try you, it's gonna be Israel. Anybody gonna try you, it's gonna be Israel. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at the whole situation that's going on with Moshe, Yahweh, and the people, you can see it in today's so-called marriage ceremonies, because he's the minister, he's in the middle.
He's standing in the middle.
Right. Yahweh is giving his vows. You got your own vows that you wrote? Okay, go ahead and tell me your vows. Okay.
Do you accept?
Right.
I do. All right. You got yours. Do you accept? I do. All right. But what happened? A couple years later, people say, I don't. Right. And they said, well, you know what? You can just get this whole thing annulled. It'll be like it didn't even happen. You can just erase everything from your memory banks. Like you just, even when you seal, say you ain't seal no more. Yeah, we don't play like that. Yeah, we don't play like that. Matter of fact, how things are done, people will look at this and say, oh man, you know, y'all believe in some different stuff. No. Y'all believe in some different stuff. Because according to this word, Christ said, he that divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. Folks tell you, I think y'all people must be dealing with multiple marriage. Well, I think y'all dealing with multiple divorce. And according to Christ, somebody finna bust the lake of fire wide open with gasoline draws on, swearing you accept it. You can't be reading even the part of the book that you say you believe in. Not only will folks will feel justified, get a divorce and be married before the other papers come in. Now, wait a minute, the papers ain't, well, they told me that it's stamped. I don't have a copy of it yet, but they said it, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. All right, right, okay. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 10. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes.
All right, so then we have this thing about sanctifying. We're gonna get we're gonna come back to that a little later, because we ended up getting a comment and it had some things about sanctify, and we're gonna have to deal with some of those statements that were made. Go ahead.
And be ready against the third day. For the third day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
Right. And the powers that be don't want you to deal with these things, because if you start dealing with these things correctly, then you're going to get closer to your Elohim. The last thing your adversary wants is for you to get closer to your Elohim, because they're going to lose their power and influence over you. Go ahead.
And you shall set bounds unto the people round about, saying, take heed to yourselves that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be a beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come up to the mount.
Right. Once Yahweh descends upon something, his spirit is upon it. You can't touch where he sits. It's not a thing of, well, I like these people, I don't like these people. No, you defile it when you touch it, you gotta die. So he's explaining, understand, make sure you understand these rules. Because I don't want to hear no, well, Yahweh, that was my cousin, he don't know no better, he not quite right. Everybody know he not quite right. He didn't mean that, Yahweh. He don't mean that bad, come on now, man. You know how he is. You know how he is, y'all. Come on now. Come on, Yahweh. Come on. Nah, he already did. He just ain't failed yet. I cooked him from the inside. He gone. He going, you can negotiate all you want. And there he go. Bam. He done. He touched his seat. He got to go. There's certain things that you just got to understand the order so that you don't think the order going to change because you decided to do something out of the order. Go ahead.
And Moshe went down from the mount onto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
So then we see this sanctification, washing them their clothes, cleansing themselves, making sure that their seed has not proceeded out of them so that they are spiritually clean. So he's taking care of naturally clean and spiritually clean before you approach unto your Elohim. The powers that be don't want you to know that. So no, if they keep finding out this stuff, they're going to break these bonds that we got on them. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Right. Moshe ain't got to tell nobody, I talked to Yahweh last night. He didn't have to say that. See, that's something you hear on Sunday morning. He got to tell you. I talked to God last night. Oh, yeah? Moshe ain't got to say that. Go ahead.
And Moshe brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
Right, and you want people to go close to that. So we the kind of people that run away from smoke. We don't run into the smoke. Go ahead.
It's interesting you say this whole thing about I talk to God. What Elohim said right here, I'm going to come let them see I'm talking to you so they hear and believe that me and you speak.
Right. See, once I show them, then after that, when you get ready to hand something to them, they're going to understand. All right, leave him alone. But you got to think about the kind of people that Yahweh said, the great power of Yahweh. And after he's done all of these miracles and leading these people out, right? He still got to turn around and show them, look, I'm talking to him. Because y'all know it didn't take but a little span and we had already, voted on a captain. All right, come on, y'all, let's get a captain. Let's go back to Egypt, tell Pharaoh we sorry. Then we're going to get down there, we apologize, we're going to walk back through. Now, I don't know how we're going to get back through that water because, the water was divided. Hopefully, it'll divide again when we get back. Now, and then we go over there, we just tell him we sorry and ask him where them fishing leaks at. Good luck on that one. Go ahead.
But like you say, with all this evidence, they still didn't believe him.
Right.
Now we choose to believe a man with no daggone evidence.
None whatsoever. He does not have to give any proof whatsoever. All he got to do is say, I talked to God last night. That's all he got to say. So much, in fact, that we start doing it too. Well, I talked to God too. Oh, okay. Everybody talking to God. Ain't nobody reading, but everybody talking. See, if you did a little bit more reading, you would even understand that lie when you were talking, you'd at least talk better. Go ahead.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moshe spake, and Elohim answered him by a voice. And Yahweh came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and Yahweh called Moshe up to the top of the mount, and Moshe went up. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto Yahweh to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to Yahweh, sanctify themselves, lest Yahweh break forth upon them.
Now, and he has to give them this instruction because of the great power, and he understands Israel. Even though I tell them not to do something, they understand that they're not supposed to do it. I mean, what happened? We just touched them out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna walk on it. I'm just, I just want to see what's gonna happen. You'd go down there and get your people now, I'm telling you. You better run down now. You better run. I'm telling you, they about you know your people. What Aaron said? You know the people, they set on mischief. You know, you come on now. Come on, man. So I took the earrings and I took the gold and I popped this calf. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know the people. You know them. You know they set on mischief. Keep in mind now, that's our folk he talking about. See, sometimes we forget that's us. So sometimes we be in our houses and we watch some stuff going on. You have to remember. That's your family now. You look at them, they set on mischief. Remember now, that's still us. Let's go to Exodus chapter 24. See, some of us scared to say that about our people. Why? Yahweh said it about you.
Exodus chapter 24 and verse 1. And he said unto Moshe, come up unto Yahweh, you and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship you afar off. And Moshe alone shall come near to Yahweh, but they shall not come near, neither shall the people go up with him.
Right. There's an order. All right? There's an order to things. See, how people mess up the order is Moshe ends up having to deal with Israel or pronounce something against Israel. Then Israel said, well, who gonna deal with Moshe? Yahweh is the one who gonna deal with Moshe. Ain't no man there gonna deal with Moshe. How any man gonna deal with Moshe and Moshe dealing directly with Yahweh? He can't let no man deal with him. He's got to deal with him. Go ahead.
And Moshe came up and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh has said will we do.
All right. We confirming we do. Go ahead.
And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahweh and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
Now, these are things you got to understand. He didn't build 2 pillars. He didn't build a pillar for Judah and Benjamin and said that's who's going to be in the land. There's 12 pillars. And let me tell you something about our Elohim. It's all of us, baby. If you don't do nothing but have 2 people from each tribe, every tribe has to be represented. Go ahead.
And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offering and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. And Moshe took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahweh had said will we do, and be obedient.
Here we go. And see, when we get to that point of all these things happening unto us, we forget that we have agreed unto all these things. We forget that our ancestors, understand, this is handed down from Abraham, Esaac, to Jacob, then to the 12 pillars, the 12 sons of Israel, then those tribes to the children of Israel, and we are all taking a piece of that. All you have said will we do. We are then getting a part of this same covenant. Go ahead.
And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold the blood of the covenant which Yahweh has made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moshe and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the Elohim of Israel. And there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw Elohim, and did eat and drink. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I'll give you tables of stone, and a law and commandments which I have written, that you may teach them. And Moshe rose up, and his minister Joshua, and Moshe went up into the mount of Elohim.
Now, this is one of the things, too, you have to look at, that just how the order of succession and power is going. Who keeps going? It says his minister Joshua. And in some places it says the young man Joshua. he is having to follow the thing that Moshe has going, which means he's being trained. He is being trained whether he knows it or not. So Yahweh just didn't get the next oldest dude. All right, Moshe died, and now we got the next oldest dude, and we put the next oldest dude in the chair and let him go. That's not what he's doing. He is making sure that he gets a trained individual to go next. Go ahead, bro.
And he said unto the elders, tarry you here for us, until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moshe went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Yahweh abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called unto Moshe out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of Yahweh was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud, and gat him up into the mount. And Moshe was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
All right. So then the covenant has been confirmed. And there's one thing that you'll notice about Yahweh. He repeats himself. And people say, why Yahweh why you say the same thing? Have you met you? Have you met you? I'd like to introduce you to you. Because I don't think you met you. Because see, we those people that'll swear down. What, you said that? You said that. You said it to me? Oh, and I said I do? When? When I said that? Some people, you have to remind them they marriage just like that. I said I do. Yeah, these the wedding pictures. That is me, huh? Yeah, that's you. Yeah, that's you. Yeah, that's definitely not a stunt double. That is definitely you right there who said I do. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus chapter 26, and we're going to start that at verse 14.
But if you will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if you shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, but that you break my covenant, I also will do this unto you.
All right. Now, this is a list of the things that is going to happen unto you. Now, the powers that be have put a lot of effort into so-called debunking Deuteronomy 28. But because Yahweh is repetitious, you're going to have to debunk more than Deuteronomy 28. Go ahead.
I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I'll set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and you shall flee when none pursues you. And if you will not yet for all this hearken unto me.
Second level of punishment. So if the other one didn't get your attention, then I have another one. Okay?
Then I'll punish you 7 times more for your sins.
And we keep wondering, I looked at one of those things where they ended up doing the 3 strikes and you're out. You serving life. There's a whole generation of our people locked up still on that 3 strikes. And they start using them 3 strikes for anything. It was supposed to be for violent crimes. There's some guy who stole $14. And he ended up serving 25 years in prison. But people want to tell us how persecuted they are. Of course, you know what they look like. I don't have to draw a picture for you, do I? Right. Go ahead.
And I'll break the pride of your power, and I'll make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. And your strength shall be spent in vain, For your land shall not yield her increase, neither shall the trees of the land yield their fruits. And if you walk contrary unto me,
But wait, there's more. This just sounds like an infomercial that just won't quit. Go ahead.
and if you walk contrary unto me, and will not hearken unto me, I'll bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins.
Right. So first, 7 times more for your sins. Now 7 times more plagues. And speaking of plagues, did anybody see that report that is now more vaccinated people dying from COVID than unvaccinated? And you know, that was the thing that they was pushing. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. They are dying in mass. More news at 11. Right. Now what they gonna say? Now all these people got shots. And they drop them. So much, I got a serious emotional plea from my family coming out the hospital. Please, tell me you're gonna vaccinate you and your family. Not gonna have them cap him. They figure so he almost died. He gonna be soft now. The hell I is. You got the right plan. You just got the wrong man. You got the right plan. That plan gonna work on somebody, but it's just not gonna be checked. And go ahead, bro.
I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. And if you will not be reformed by me by these things,
If you will not be reformed by these things, I got something else for you. See, all this is to get your attention. See, he's not trying to kill you. Hey, I want to kill you. You already be dead. No. I want your attention. Go ahead.
but will walk contrary unto me. Then will I also walk contrary unto you, and will punish you yet 7 times for your sins. And I'll bring a sword upon you that shall avenge the quarrel of my
The
covenant.
quarrel of my covenant. See, our problem is the quarrel of the covenant. The covenant that other people, quite frankly, don't have to abide by. See, we can go in 2 Kings chapter 17 and find out where the imposters come into the land and they're not held to the same standard that you are. The imposter can worship all other gods and not be punished, not you. See, that's what proves an imposter is an imposter, because he gets to do all this stuff that the covenant said you can't do. Why is he allowed to do it? To provoke you unto jealousy. Imagine you had the hots for Shaquita Johnson down the street. Now you did everything for Shaquita Johnson. And Shaquita said, nope, ain't gonna happen. Here come Man. You tried to take her to that restaurant on Peachtree, the one with a flow move. Man took her to McDonald's. And he's having the time of his life. Happy Meal, didn't even put no cheese on it. Now what you feel like? Tell me how you feel. All right. It's like Prego. It's in here. Keep reading, brother.
And when you are gathered together within your cities, I'll send the pestilence among you, and you shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and you shall eat and not be satisfied. And if you will not for all this hearken unto me,
Well, if this ain't enough, go ahead.
but walk contrary unto me, then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins.
Right. So one thing you need to learn is how Yahweh deals with things. A lot of times, especially men, when something happened, I say men, now there's just women too. Sometimes we get angry and we jump all the way to the top level. And what we don't witness is sometimes you are getting past those little points, and we only pay attention when the top level is hit. Each time we don't listen to one, he steps up. You have to notice when you are in a situation where the individual is getting angrier because you are missing those steps. He keeps saying, all right, well, if this ain't enough, then I'm going to do this. So that means we can't go all the way to level 12 the first time we get upset. That's not how your God did you. He came to you in steps. First he took this. That didn't work, then he took that. That didn't work, then he took this and this. That didn't work, he took this. Then that means when we get ready to deal with some things, then we have to deal with it how our God deals with us. So we have to remember that when we're dealing with our spouses, when we're dealing with our children. We're going to go on levels. Oh, that didn't work? All right, well, now we're going to do this right here. Maybe this will get your attention. Oh, and it's accumulative now. I'm not going to give you the other thing back. No. Now you're missing 2 things. Now that happened again, now you're going to be missing 3 things. So, I'm not giving it. But see, our problem is we give it back because it's more convenient to us. I don't want you to have this car, but I don't really feel like taking you to school. You see, we'll discipline you, but we don't want to discipline us. No. No, if you're going to discipline, that means you got to get up. Now, I wouldn't be taking him to school. I'm going to drop you off at this bus stop. See, you got to learn. See, I can't do all the work for you. See? No. I'm going to get up early because it take a little longer to ride the bus. But I'm going to drop you off at this bus stop. See? Me taking you still ain't learning. You still ain't learning. You still getting chauffeured. No, get on the bus. Go downtown. 5 punts. Get that transfer and hop on the 34 bus. You realize that it takes 3.5 hours to get home. What was a 30-minute ride in the car is 3.5 hours on the bus. Oh, next time, Dad, I promise I ain't gonna do this no more. I promise, Daddy, please. I said, please, Daddy, please. Now you understand. See? But if I keep chauffeuring you still ain't gonna get it. And you might even learn something being on the bus. This is where you learn. You learn so much being on the bus. Oh, man, you see your people in a different light. Read, brother.
And you shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall you eat. And I'll destroy your high places and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols. And my soul shall abhor you. And I'll make your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries onto desolation, and I'll not smell the savor of your sweet odors. And I'll bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it. And I'll scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
I will scatter you among the heathen. One of the main lies that the imposters say is we've always been in the land. That pretty much, so not the people. Check. That's another check of not being the people. But you have to actually read to know that. See, while you're listening to them boast on that, they're using their language, they're using the culture as a weapon against you. But if you don't know to read this, then you don't understand that everything that you're saying to confirm you actually confirms that that's not you. This is why you got to get off into some other book. They can't stay in the Torah. The Torah proves that it's not them. So they can't keep reading the Torah. They got to go read something else. They got to go get in that Talmud and read that. Because if you stay in this, then their kids going to find out this can't possibly be us. You know what, let's go read the Talmud. We can, everybody going to be able to figure that out that way too. See, we can hide everything in the Talmud. All that mud ain't mud. Read, bro.
Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbath as long as it lies desolate, and you be in your enemy's land. even then shall the land rest and enjoy her Sabbath.
Right. Which made it open for other people to go and take it. Yahweh said, I'm gonna take you out of it. And what happened? You leave a house open and people keep walking by it. What you think you gonna do? Hey man, ain't nobody staying in the house. No. Say it ain't so. That's like a pretty nice house. You don't never see nobody driving over here? I can change that whole front right there. Put that in there. Now here come the thoughts. Right. That's exactly what happened to us. Yahweh keep punishing us. And meanwhile, our enemies keep coming by looking at our house. That's pretty good land. Why ain't nobody in it? Oh, Yahweh was dealing with his people. He threw them out. Interesting. Go ahead.
As long as it lies desolate, it shall rest. Because it did not rest in your Sabbaths when you dwelled upon it. And upon them that are left alive of you, I'll send a faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them.
So the real children of Israel are going to be in the land of their enemies. And it's not going to be one enemy. Because he said, I'm going to spread you and scatter you across the globe. That means he has provided enemies everywhere for you. You got enemies everywhere. Check that out. Go ahead.
And they shall flee as fleeing from a sword. And they shall fall when none pursues. And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursues. And you shall have no power to stand before your enemies. And you shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. And they that are left of you shall pine away in their lawlessness in your enemies' lands. And also in the lawlessness of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they shall confess their lawlessness and the lawlessness of their fathers, with their trespass which they trespass against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me.
If they shall confess, the hardest thing for us to do is to admit when something has gone wrong. Matter of fact, we go into self-preservation mode and we start throwing everybody under the bus. Let us get caught doing something wrong, we done already turned state's evidence. We ain't left the living room. And we done already gave 3 testimonies against somebody else. Go ahead.
And that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their lawlessness.
Right. We don't want to accept the punishment. First of all, we don't even want to accept that there's a curse upon us. Go ahead.
Then will I remember my covenant with Yaakov.
Then will I remember my covenant. When you humble yourself and accept the punishment, then I will remember my covenant. Go ahead.
And also my covenant with Esaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I'll remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lies desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their lawlessness, because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly.
Right. This is why no matter what has happened unto us, we have not been destroyed. They do everything they possibly can. Any other group of people will have been broken. He said, I'm going to let you do some stuff to them, but I ain't going to let you kill them. You can do all of this stuff, but it will not break this people. It's confusing to them why we haven't done. They cannot figure out. You know, we go in there, we kill a whole bunch of Bible study people, and we can't get these people to react at all. What does it take to make Israel mad? They come kill our babies. They assault us in the street, leave the body in the street. We still won't retaliate. And they trying to make us retaliate. But be careful what thou asketh for. Because Yahweh will tell us when it's time. And when it's also time, he going to remove that weight off of us. Because any retaliation not sanctioned by Yahweh, you're leading to an early death. But when Yahweh blows that trumpet and sanctions, all right, now it's time to move. What do you think he says? Two gonna put 10,000 to flight. When they throw everything at you, see, this the stuff movies are made of. Where they shoot at a dude and he, the bullet miss him. That's you they imitate. See, Yahweh don't need a lot of people. When he put his blessing on, he said, no. Watch what I do with a few. Go ahead.
And to break my covenant with them, for I am Yahweh, their El. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their El. I am Yahweh. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahweh made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moshe.
Right. And these are the things that people want you to forget. It is written, you are my witnesses, says Yahweh, my servant, whom I have chosen, that you may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no El formed, neither shall there be after me. Even I am Yahweh, and beside me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved, and I have showed when there was no strange God among you. Therefore you are my witnesses, says Yahweh, that I am Elohim. So when we consider that we are his witnesses, we have to then understand that there's some things that we have to do here. There are some things that we're going to have to do, and we know that we come from a place where they excel in witness tampering. How do you think it's all the people who are prosecuted just happen to look the same way? Oh, they're proficient in tampering with the witnesses. What do you think we've seen with this Kyrie thing, and then all these brothers come out talking about him? What do you think that is? Witness tampering. Then we need you to go out. We need you to call him a fool. We need you to call him this. We need you to do this. That you won't keep getting this money, don't you? Well, shut up then and go out there and condemn him. No, not once have Gentiles or Jewish people, Gentiles, not once have they had to come out and denounce what some other person of their group has done. When you seen a Jewish person come out and condemn another Jewish person for what that person has said or done? They're not asked. We are. Other people are asked. Condemn this person for what they've said. Why I need to condemn them? You said you didn't like it. Why is it necessary for me to say that I didn't like it? Oh, because you need somebody of his ethnic background to denounce him. See, that's the way the game is played. So it wouldn't be believable with the Jewish people coming out and saying that they denounce what they say he said. No, we need to get somebody who looks just like you to denounce you, so we can say your own people don't even like you. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. Did you have something, bro?
No.
Okay. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 29. So now that we've come up to the situation of Israel, and we know that Israel has had ups and downs, and, with various things. Then Israel asked for a king. Yahweh gave Israel a king in his anger. This is something that we have to remember that was stated. I gave you a king in my anger. But then he gives them a better king afterwards. So now we're going to that level of covenant, which is dealing with King David. 2 Samuel chapter 7, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of Elohim dwells within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for Yahweh is with you.
Now, verse 1, and it came to pass when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies. He had been warring. He's been warring constantly. Now, he's sitting calmly in his house and realized, I ain't shot at nobody this week. Did you shoot anybody? No, I ain't shoot. You shoot anybody? Man, you know what? I need to do something for my Elohim. At what point did that ever cross our mind? Yahweh has given me rest. Yahweh has given me certain abilities. See, some of us don't even remember the toil that we went through to get some of the things that we have. So now we think the rest is all about us. No. As soon as he finds rest, he creates another job for himself. We find rest, we kicking up our feet.
Excuse me, do you have some strawberries and the powdered sugar? Not the regular sugar. I need the powdered one. Yes, give me that. Yeah, lots of it. I'm rested.
He has finished an enormous military campaign and sits down in peace and thinks about building a house for the ark. He said, I need to build something for this covenant. I need to build something. I need to build a house. This thing travels within curtains. What? I got a house. Did we ever consider that? See, that's why they used to say to people, treat this like it was your house. Don't just throw stuff down. You know what I'm saying? Pick that up. But we can't say that because people do that at their house. They throw stuff down, they don't pick it up. So you can't tell people, treat this like you would treat your house. No, treat this better than you treat your house. Go ahead, bro.
And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, thus says Yahweh, Shall you build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build you not me an house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall you say unto my servant David, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with you whithersoever you wenteth, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight.
I was with you wherever you went, and have cut off all your enemies. He still had to fight. He didn't just go to the battle and they all just laid down and they just died. They said, oh, it's David. Oh. No, that's not how that happened. He still had to fight. Even when Yahweh provides for you, you still got to do something. Go ahead.
And have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahweh tells you that he will make you an house.
Right. So when you consider, what is the punishment for a lie? Whatever you desired as intent for that lie, that is your judgment. All right? Look at what Yahweh did. He had an intent to build Yahweh a house. Yahweh said, you gonna build me a house? Since you intended on building me one, I'm gonna build you one. Check that out. So on one side, the punishment of a lie was whatever you intended on doing. Here it is, the reward for righteousness was whatever you intended on doing. Boy. Go ahead, brother.
And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I'll establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Right. And it tells you as you get further down in other readings, he shed too much blood to build a house of Yahweh. So he could not allow him to build a house of worship. He's a king, and a king goes to war. He shed the wrong kind of blood. He shed man's blood. He couldn't build a house. But Yahweh was so overcome with joy that it was his intent. Go ahead.
I'll be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, I'll chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before you. And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David.
Right. Now remember now, at first, he says he's going to do it, and the prophet says, do everything that's in your heart, for Yahweh is with you. He's never seen a situation where Yahweh wasn't with him. But now this went on another level. Yahweh has sent him back. Now, go back and tell him this. So that means that first answer came from the prophet. That first answer didn't come from Yahweh to the prophet, to David. That just came directly from the prophet's thoughts. Go ahead.
Then went King David in and sat before Yahweh, and he said, Who am I, O Adonai? And what is my house that you have brought me hitherto? And this was yet a small thing in your sight, O Adonai. But you have spoken also of your servant's house for a great while to come. And this is the manner of man, O Adonai. And is this the manner of man, O Adonai?
Now, he's talking about himself. Is this the manner of man? You mentioned this way back in the law. Moshe said, one of your brethren like unto me. You've been speaking of this. You sure you want to deal with through me? Go ahead.
And what can David say more unto you? For you, Adonai, knoweth your servant. For your word's sake, and according to your own heart, have you done all these great things to make your servant know them. Wherefore you are great, O Yahweh Elohim, for there is none like you, neither is there any El beside you, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, whom Elohim went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible, for your land, before your people, which you redeemeth you from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. For you have confirmed to yourself your people Israel to be a people unto you forever. And you, Yahweh, are become their Elohim.
Right. So you have to understand when people attempt to seize upon the things that were given unto Israel, all of those things are the things that they want. They want the land rights. They want the namesake. They want all of these things. They basically want all of your inheritance. Go ahead.
And now, O Yahweh Elohim, the word that you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as you have said. And let your name be magnified forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts is the El of Israel. And let the house of your servant David be established before you. For you, O Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, has revealed to your servant, saying, I'll build you an house. Therefore hath your servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto you. And now, O Adonai Yahweh, you are that El, and your words be true, and you have promised this goodness unto your servant. Therefore now let it please you to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. For you, O Adonai Yahweh, have spoken it, and with your blessing let the house of your servant be blessed forever.
All right. So then, when you talk about this kingship, and Yahshua being a physical heir of the seed of Dawid, then he's born into the kingly line, but then also made a priest. So what Yahweh was putting together through the loins of Dawid was to make a king and high priest. So Yahweh is combining those very things that he has set forth within our tribal breakdown. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. So he's putting those two things together. So there's a separation of power between the king and the priest. So Yahweh shows you what great thing it is that he's doing through the seed of Dawid. So we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 37, and we're going to start that at verse 16.
Moreover, you son of man, take you one stick, and write upon it for Yehuda, and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick, and write upon it for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand.
Right. See, what the powers that be want to do, they just want to keep the one stick. Yahweh said, no. I'm going to join Judah to Israel, and they're going to be one nation again. The imposter said, no, we can't, we're not going to rule with them. we only know how to rule over them. So while they say, don't worry about looking for no lost tribes, my book says otherwise. Go ahead.
And when the children of your people shall speak unto you, saying, will you not show us what you meaneth by these? Say unto them, thus says the Adonai Yahweh, behold, I'll take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Yehuda, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon you writeth shall be in your hand before your eyes. And say unto them, thus says the Adonai Yah, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land.
Now wait a minute. When he's talking about bringing these nations together, he's also talking about bringing them from the heathen. The very thing that people are fighting against. Go ahead.
And I'll make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I'll save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I'll be their El. And Dawid my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They also shall walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant Dawid shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I'll make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I'll place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, and the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, But my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
And the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel. So that's something that we have to get off into, this whole sanctify situation, because within the punishment of Israel, the door was opened for a lot of things to be seized upon. But when you have the sanctification, those things are going to return back to who they were originally given to. Let's go to Psalms 83. See, the things that were done unto Israel was done to set Israel apart.
Psalm 83 and verse 1. Keep not you silent, O Elohim, hold not your peace, and be not still, O El. For, lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people, and consulted against your hidden ones.
Right. So you look at the collusion that's happening to make a effort to say there's no way that these people could be the children of Israel. Go ahead.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
That happens on various levels. There's one thing about seizing upon the land, but then feeding you other cultures is also cutting you off from being a nation. Giving you and naming you by proverbs and bywords is cutting you off from being a people, cutting you off from being a nation. Let's let them learn this. See, we don't understand how much of a transgression it is for them to teach us Christmas. That's why people don't understand when you say, oh no, I'm not celebrating that. What you mean you ain't celebrating Christmas? I feel sorry for your kids. I mean, how else can kids feel good? You know what I'm saying? It's got to be about Christmas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, what other reason would you buy your kids gifts if it wasn't for Christmas? You're ruining it for them. You're ruining their life. They are cutting us off from being a nation by feeding us this whack culture. And then we fight for the culture and we don't even understand it. We do all of this for one day. Gentile come in there and say, you know, the 12 days of Christmas. And Jake like, what the hell you mean 12 days? We barely got enough money for one. You mean there's 11 more after that? We get into things we don't even understand. We'll fight for stuff and we ain't researched it. We ain't looked up nothing. But we'll be the ones fighting the most. Go ahead.
Not only is it 12 days, there's gifts being given on every single day.
Well, you know what it would be if it was us. On the first day of Christmas, you get one sock. On the second day of Christmas, you get the other sock. On the third day of Christmas, you get one pants leg. On the fourth day of Christmas, you get the other pants leg. On the fifth day, you get the thread to sew them back together. Yeah, we'll break it down. You'll want that one day again if you get 12 with us. I got to do more work, but there's 12 days. The old sock did will cut everything up. Go ahead, bro.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent.
They have consulted together. There is collusion. All right? They have agreed with other individuals. This is what we're going to do to this people. Go ahead.
They are confederate against you. the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek.
Yahweh ain't forgot nothing. He's sitting there, he letting all of them get together. They making their backdoor meetings. They
Look, we got to cut them off. We got to shut down this Hebrew Israelite, this black Israelite thing, and before it catches fire, we got to put it out. We got to douse them.
Yahweh, why? When they had their meetings, Yahweh in the meeting too. That is interesting. Now that right there, that's going to be interesting. That's going to really mess them up right there. Yeah, do that. Oh, Yahweh in the meeting too. That's the part that we never consider. When we meeting and we talking about doing our foul stuff, he look around. Did you see a shadow up? Oh no, that was Yahweh. He was in this foul meeting too. They don't even consider that. Oh, he there. He know about all the agreements. See, he like, okay, I'm gonna let this happen so I can get their attention. But I'm gonna deal with everybody involved. And what all you trying to do, I'm gonna make it do something else. You trying to destroy him, but this gonna make them stand up. Go ahead.
The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Caesarea, as to Jabin at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zeba and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Elohim in possession.
Let us take to ourselves the houses of Elohim in possession. Now, who are you talking about?
Children of Israel.
So, because, if he's talking about us, it's a hard sell to say that we done took the houses in Israel and we in Georgia. So who he talking about? He's talking about somebody. Okay, go ahead.
O my people, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burns a wood, and as the flame sets the mountains on fire. So persecute them with your tempests, and make them afraid with your storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek your name, O Yahweh. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish.
Now, hold on. Verse 15. So persecute them with your tempest and make them afraid with your storm. Fill their faces with shame that they may seek your name. You have people who claiming to be the descendants, but won't say his name. If that ain't the strangest thing ever, you have the ability to seize upon all these covenants, but you can't say his name. Right. That's why they're going to have to seek it. You won't even say it. But you'll take the inheritance, but you can't say your daddy's name. So who left you this car, man?
I would tell you, but I can't say it.
What?
It's, the car was an inheritance. It was from my,
No, I don't know. Who gave you the car, man?
my person.
Your what?
Him.
Him who?
Him upstairs.
What? You mean to tell me you're going to accept inheritance? I would be proud to say, who gave you that truck? Hey, man, my daddy gave me this truck. But you remember that? You remember Jimmy Lee on it? You remember Jimmy Lee? But it was Jimmy Lee old truck. Boy, you know what? That was Jimmy Lee old truck. Boy, I remember that now. But you going to seize on the inheritance, but you won't say your daddy's name. Sound like you know he ain't your daddy. That's what it sounds sound like to me. Go ahead, bro.
But what got the brother in trouble? Verse 16, right? Fill their faces with shame that they may seek your name.
Uh-huh.
That's what he went looking for.
That's what he went looking for. So when he went seeking Yahweh's name, he didn't run into nothing from them. So how is it that you're the people, but if anybody seeks out his name, they don't run into you? There's something real strange with that. If that's your daddy, surely, if you seeking out my daddy now, you gonna run into me. That should be the sign of how you run into me. Like, man, I ain't talked to you in a long time. What made you seek me out? I was looking for your daddy. And I turned around, I ran, I was looking for your daddy. I was looking at that, boy, there goes little June bug. Right there, I was looking for it. I wasn't even trying to find, I was saying, but boy, how you doing, boy? Boy, you look just like your daddy too, boy. Go ahead.
That men may know that you, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the most high over all the earth.
All right. So now I want to read this because part of the thing about let's cut them off is not just taking the land. It is about teaching us other cultures. One thing that we've always had that we thought was help. We had all this help during the civil rights movement, but what we didn't understand is they was helping us diversify, which will give them more power to take over our things. See, 5 fingers separated can only slap. 5 fingers put together is power, and a fist you can punch with. You ain't never gonna beat no grown man by slapping him. All right? If you can slap a grown man and he pass out, those some different kind of hands. Those different kind of hands. He been slapping concrete with them hands because ain't no normal man gonna pass out from no slap. See, these fingers got to come together. Okay? So part of let's cut them off is let's teach them other cultures that gets them far away from Yahweh. So we received of course, we had New Moon on Wednesday, and the Turkey Day was the day after that, right? So we didn't have a Bible study, and this question was coming in then, so I figured I'd deal with it today. We received a statement concerning the observance of Thanksgiving. So I'm going to read the statement, all right? Honoring the Thanksgiving was a long-held tradition offering of the native tribes in America. Now, this is their statement, not mine. It was the native tribes that introduced honoring of Thanksgiving to the pilgrims. The offering of Thanksgiving is a sanctified offering of honor established biblically. I had to put a question mark right there because y'all got to understand that this is not my statement. I'm reading what was there. And it says this is not to debate. It's recognition or convince toward honoring it as it is done. A token of the infidel's injustice is not entirely appropriate or accurate of its original biblical context and relative guidance. All right, let's go to Leviticus chapter 7 because there's several things that we have to deal with here. All right, when you say it was the natives that introduced it, and that somehow is supposed to make a difference whether it came from the natives or whether it didn't come from the infidel himself. One thing that we learn when reading this book is you have to be able to accept truth even when the dumb ass speaks. Okay? So when the donkey talked, the donkey was saying some very profound things. Why? Because the dumb ass seen the angel. The intelligent man did not. Okay? So keep that in mind. So we're going to read Leviticus chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 11 and 12. because we're going to have to first break down some meaning of some things.
Verse 11. And this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which he shall offer unto Yahweh. If he offer it for a thanksgiving.
Now, this is what our people do. We do a search on Thanksgiving, so you see it's in the Bible. Thanksgiving is right there in the Bible. I've found hundreds of times that you see Thanksgiving right there in the Bible. I also find murder, mayhem, adultery, cannibalism. I found whatever. It's like Prego. It's in there. It's in there. That don't mean I'm going to do it. But we're going to have to think about and get to how it's in here. Go ahead.
Then he shall offer with the sacrifice of thanksgiving unleavened cakes.
Wait a minute. The sacrifice of Thanksgiving. Wait a minute. So Thanksgiving is not a day, it's a thing. So we're going to have to figure out what is that thing. Go ahead.
Mingled with oil, and unleavened wafers anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil of fine flour fried.
All right. So, and there's so many others. I received a lot of things that had Thanksgiving in it, and it is a bunch of them. All right. But instead of reading 200 scriptures that's got Thanksgiving in it, what we're going to do is read the definition of Thanksgiving. So, brother, would you read this definition for me?
From H426, Todah.
Todah. Thank you. Go ahead.
From Brown
No,
Driver.
really. Thank you. Go ahead.
From Brown Driver's Breaks. Confession, praise, thanksgiving.
Okay.
Give praise to Elohim.
Uh-huh.
Thanksgiving and songs of liturgical worship, hymn of praise. Thanksgiving choir or procession or line or company. Thank offering, sacrifice of thanksgiving, confession.
I need you to back up one. Thank offering. So when you are making an offering, you are doing what? No. I need you to, thanks is one thing. Offering is what?
Giving.
Okay, so thanksgiving is thanks offering. Okay, so now we have thanks offering. So I ask, when you gather together on thanks offering, who are you offering it to?
Come on now.
Who's the offering going to? Go ahead, brother.
Were all your cakes unleavened or were they all full of leaven?
Because see, now you're going back to the law of offerings. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Because we had two different things in there, and this is why I said we gotta, because the indoctrination is slick. And if you don't know it, you are pushing the indoctrination without knowing that you're pushing it. You are pushing what was given unto you, not understanding it was given to you for a reason so that you would carry this on. So we have this thing of thanks offering, and we now understand that is what they call Thanksgiving. So this is not a day of Thanksgiving. This is a thing. See? So that means, how are you offering it? Okay, so now there was another word that was used there, and it said it was a sanctified offering of honor and established biblically. So then I have to ask a question. What Bible was the natives using? No. This is a real question here. Because if you're saying that they were sanctified by them, what Bible did Chief Hatukawa have when he was dealing with this? Come on, man. Somebody gotta explain this. Let's go to I want you to read this next definition of sanctified.
H6942, Quadash. To consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, be hallowed, be holy, be sanctified, be separate.
Okay, what part of anything given by the natives Because I know what statement it was when I mentioned the thing about Thanksgiving, and I said, where were you? Where were we when this was happening? Just like 4th of July, where were we when it was happening? So then when you lightly go on things, sometimes people say, well, you know, that definition wasn't good enough for me. All right, well, we're going to give you a better one. We're going to give you a better one. Now, since we're dealing with sanctified, I want to go to Leviticus chapter 8. Go ahead, brother, you had something?
You know, it says, be sanctified.
Uh-huh.
If you put forth sanctification in your Thanksgiving feast, a lot of people ain't coming. Because look at here, we know what's got to be done to be sanctified, to come to a hallowed, holy, which is all a part of this.
Right. And you got all the unclean, nasty. You got, you know, Cuz JP, he showed up drunk. Everybody waiting for the, they done made their little special drunk drinks, and they waiting to get down in the bottom. That's where all the good alcohol at. But how is this sanctified? How is this? See, we'll throw around this word sanctified, but we're going to have to deal with that. How is this sanctified? And how could the natives sanctify anything? How does a Native American sanctify anything? Who gave you the authority to sanctify something? See, these are things you cannot take lightly. This is how they're cutting us off, because we are spending our time and energy doing these things. So Leviticus chapter 8, we're going to read verses 9 through 15, because we got to get into this sanctified thing. That's not something we can just go past.
Verse 9, and he put the mitre upon his head. Also upon the mitre, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as Yahweh commanded Moshe.
Right. And every now and then you get the people that follow the purple Crayolas, and they say, why you got a head covering on? Because y'all ain't read your book. See? So when you start talking about consecration and sanctification, then there's a certain thing. Y'all got the whole outfit, but somehow you went Control Alt Delete right when they got to the head covering. They just blinked out. Go ahead.
And Moshe took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was therein, and sanctified them. And he sprinkled thereof upon the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all his vessels, both the laver and his foot, to sanctify them.
All right, so there was something that was done to sanctify them to be able to do the things that they're going to do. I ask you, when you tell me that the natives sanctified it, what was the native sanctification process? Read, brother.
And he poured of the anointing oil upon Aaron's head, and anointed him to sanctify him.
Okay. Who poured what on whose head when they were sanctifying Thanksgiving to give it to the pilgrims? Who felt so sanctified they killed all of them? Go ahead.
And Moshe brought Aaron's sons, and put coats upon them, and girded them with girdles, and put bonnets upon them.
Bonnets go on the head just like the mitre go on the head. So when you keep reading about these sanctified individuals, they look like this. Go ahead.
As Yahweh commanded Moshe. And he brought the bullock for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for the sin offering. And he slew it. And Moshe took the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar round about with his finger, and purified the altar, and poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it to make reconciliation upon it.
Okay, so was some blood poured out to prepare for the turkey so that the turkey would be sanctified? How was this process done? So you can't just say it was sanctified. You got to come with how was it sanctified? Who sanctified it? Who gave them the authority to sanctify? See, I can follow all that. See, I can follow who gave who what. How did they sanctify? I can follow that. When you tell me something about the natives, there's some more stuff that you got to bring to to produce this. So now let's go to Leviticus 23, and I want to read just a few things out of there. Because see, this is not just about Thanksgiving. See, this is all those other things that pull us away from Yahweh our Elohim, including them things that the Ish do. People say, oh, you gonna keep Hanukkah? Oh, you talking about Jewish Christmas? No, I don't keep Jewish Christmas. What am I gonna keep that for? Everything you need right here. Let's go. Leviticus 23. We're gonna start verse 1 through 4.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, Concerning the feast of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
I'm sorry, whose feasts are they?
His feast, Yahweh's feast.
All right. He says, these are my feasts. So if there's any confusion as to what we're supposed to be dealing with, all I got to do is revert back to what's written. I don't have to think about who sanctified what. Did my Elohim sanctify it? Well, then it ain't sanctified. It ain't nothing I got to keep. Go ahead.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation.
So he sanctified the Sabbath. All right, so that's something I got to deal with. Go ahead.
You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons.
All right, so not only must you do them, but you must do them in the appropriate season in which he has commanded them to be done. So now let's jump to verse 33.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the 1st day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of Yahweh which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day.
All right.
One more.
Go ahead.
Beside the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which you give unto Yahweh.
All right, so then we have this thing, but what we have to then establish is, you know, because people say, in a lot of things, they look at Thanksgiving and they say, okay, we can find that word in the Bible, and we don't really per se see any conflict with another God. It's about people doing something with other people. There's no God there, right? All right, let's go right here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23. Let me show you where you really get into it with your God, right here. Let me show you where your conflict with your Elohim is going to be. See, we don't consider, it says that these holy days must be kept in their seasons, right? Have you paid attention that they have an equation to make sure that Easter falls in the same season as Passover? Now, I need you to pay attention that Thanksgiving happens in the same time that the Feast of Tabernacles happen. So, what is happening in both of these events? Exodus chapter 23, and let's read verses 14 through 17.
3 times you shall keep a feast unto me in the year.
Uh-huh.
You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Uh-huh.
You shall eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded you, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it you came out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
Uh-huh.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which you have sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
The Feast of Ingathering is the Feast of Tabernacles. Now keep reading.
When you have gathered in your labors out of the field.
Oh, so it's harvest. Okay. So Yahweh has a holy day for the celebration of harvest. Then the natives give to the pilgrims, so-called, a day to celebrate the harvest. So which one you gonna celebrate? Which harvest are you dealing with? You gonna deal with Yahweh's harvest, or you gonna deal with the heathen's harvest? Because now we got the same party favors here. We're supposed to be celebrating the same thing. But you celebrate it to who you want to celebrate it to, and I'm celebrating it who I'm celebrating it with, because I'm giving credit unto my Elohim for bringing forth the harvest unto us. Who you celebrating your harvest for? Who gave you that turkey? Don't they always think, what are you thankful for? People get on TV, I'm thankful, and I'm thankful because my mama and my daddy, they gave me some dressing. Right. Go ahead.
Give me Yahweh's, because at least he gave me 8 days to be thankful.
Hey, no, I'm going to show you where you're going to get into some trouble. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5.
You want me to read verse 17 on that?
Go ahead.
3 times in the year, all your males shall appear before the Adonai.
All right. So now, you think about that too. Everybody who you ain't seen all year, they had big mamas for Thanksgiving. Right. They're making an appearance. They're making an appearance. All right. So now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5, and we're going to read verse 1 through 10. Folks, you ain't seen all. I remember I first getting on the call. You should come over here. Come pee over here. Gary over here, Chubby over here, everybody over here. You should really be over here. I tell you what, put them all on the phone. Somebody take care of this once and for all. I never got another call again. Took care of that business. Right. You're going to learn today. You're going to learn today. Now, gather up everybody. Put me on speaker. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to get a party started. Deuteronomy chapter 5.
And Moshe, go ahead.
We're going to read verses 1 through 10. Go ahead.
And Moshe called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them, and keep and do them. And Yahweh our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time, to show you the word of Yahweh, for you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. You shall have none other gods before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourselves unto them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the lawlessness of the fathers upon the children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me.
I, Yahweh, am a jealous Elohim. So instead of going to Yahweh's harvest, you went to the heathen harvest. Or let's say you kept both of them. You still activated his jealousy. And if you're confused, you got 2 kids, come home 3 days straight with something for one of them kids. And look at the face of the other one. Come in, 3 days straight, get another. And I got another thing for you. You don't see nobody else in there? You confused? Yahweh gave you a way to figure it out. It's real simple. Real simple. Go ahead.
And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
All right. So when we get into that, we have to get into some other things as well, because it's not just Thanksgiving. I'm going to read to you something else, how people connect this other thing. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. You'd be surprised at some of the things that are out there, and how the connection is made. First
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass, the saying that is written, that death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Elohim, which gives us the victory through our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach.
So then, we didn't look at this. The dead are coming out of their graves. Yahshua talks about these same things, about this these people walking out of their graves. So then, we have to think back. What do you think Halloween is? All Hallows Eve is the night of the living dead. It is the day that the dead are supposed to come out of their graves and walk among the earth. So, did Yahweh sanctify that by 1 Corinthians 15? See, you got to be real careful. You have to be real careful. Wait a minute, it's the same thing. See, we don't understand that, and then before that, what was sanctified by the Catholic Church? All Saints Day. So Halloween is the eve before, All Hallows Eve. So now this got something to do with my God? Absolutely not. But this is how you cut them off from being a people. Because once we celebrate something, we do it harder than the people who know what they're doing. We do it long and wrong. We don't even understand what we're doing. We out there dressed in all green. Yeah, man. We keeping St. Pippin Day. Saint what? I don't think that's a thing. We don't even understand. We don't put on all green. We don't even know what it is. Bruh, you should have did some research on this. Cause I don't think his name was Pippin. I don't think that's what it is. I think you got the wrong name. But I got the right color though, right? And the green. Let us cut them off from being a people. See? And then we put all our effort into that. And our Elohim is getting jealous. Look at what you put your effort into. You take the situation of offering. You got Cain and Abel. Abel offers a worthy offering. Cain just offers some stuff. Yahweh said, I can't really accept that. If you're gonna come to a king, you gotta come to a king better than that. You can't come with your leftovers. You can't come with just stuff that you didn't want. And that's what we offer unto Yahweh. Then when he don't accept it, we got an attitude problem. Man, I'm a king. I'm not accepting that. Matter of fact, did you take a bite out of that before you brought it? Did you take... Bruh, that's your mouth print. Bruh, did you bite the cake before you gave it to me? I just want to make sure it was fresh. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1.
Seven 12.
Isaiah chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 1 through 27.
The vision of Esaias the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Yehuda. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahweh hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people does not consider.
Right, because we're too busy assimilating into everybody else's culture. And we don't understand, every time we get closer to something else, we're getting further from Yahweh. This is why they said, look, don't marry these people. They're going to take you away from me. No, not me. Right. He warned us right off the rip. Go ahead.
Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with lawlessness, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They're gone away backward. Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burnt with fire. Your land, strangers devoured in your presence. And it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our Elohim, you people of Gomorrah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me?
So then now we have to consider something. Not only does Yahweh is the one that sanctifies gatherings, but if your gathering is not done correctly, he still don't accept it, even if it's one of the sanctified ones that he himself has sanctified. He told us to keep the Sabbaths and new moons. But then look at what he said when he saw how we kept it. Go ahead.
Saith Yahweh, I'm full of the burnt offerings of rams, and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks, or of lambs, or of goats, or of he-goats, pardon me. When you come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand, to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations.
Right. What you coming for this time? See, we got together and we had decided that today would be the special day. We call this the Day of Days. Who told you to do that? What's your name now? See, when we do stuff, we can't even backtrack where it came from. We just get some old random thing. What's your name? They was at the thing. What thing? You know the thing? At the place. You ain't know where this come from. Go ahead.
Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with.
I cannot away with. I'm the one that ordained them. But check this. Go ahead.
It is lawlessness, even the solemn meeting.
Right. Go ahead.
Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hates.
Right. You ain't doing them right. So just because it's sanctified don't mean jack. How are you doing it? If anybody is invited, it's not sanctified. You've just burnt up the whole term sanctified. This is how a lot of people build their congregations. Nothing is sanctified. You ain't got to wear no head covering. You ain't got to worry about clean or unclean. You ain't got to worry about this. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to get a baptism. Oh, man, you get everybody. You can't even fit the people in the door. You got to grease them up just to fit them in here. Why? No sanctification means no regulation. See, when you're having a party, you don't want regulation. See, you want population. Right. See, you don't want regulation. Regulation means less people at your party. Go ahead.
They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I'll hide mine eyes from you. Yes, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood.
Right. This is how they cut us off from being a people. I'm going to get you off into these other things. Then it's going to separate you from your Elohim. Then he's going to hide his eyes and his ears from you. Your enemy studies your culture so that he can know how to effectively rule over you. Go ahead.
Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool.
Right. If you do these things. So it is in your enemy's best thing. It is his best thought to make sure that you never do this. So the best way to keep you from doing this is to keep you busy with something else. Go ahead.
If you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured with the sword, for the mouth of Yahweh had spoken it. How is the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loves gifts and follows after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore says the Adonai, Yahweh of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies. And I'll turn my hand upon you and purely purge away your dross and take away all your tin. And I'll restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning.
I will restore your judges as at the first and your counselors as at the beginning. Then they're going to start dealing with situations. See, what we want to do is be a whole bunch of middle of the road people. Well, I don't want to do, I just want to be neutral. I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to end up in no mess. So then I saw what they was doing behind the building, but I said, you know what? I don't want to be involved, so I'm not going to mention what I saw behind the building. And then Yahweh going to deal with you behind the building. Because you didn't tell what happened behind the building. Well, Yahweh, why you bringing me back here? I'm going to deal with you where you saw that. Right. Go ahead.
Afterward you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness.
Now, you have two things there. Zion is going to be redeemed with judgment, and her converts. See, the people want to tell you to convert. Yet they have not suffered anything that's written in this book, but you to convert. How am I to convert and I'm suffering everything that's written in the covenants? You haven't suffered anything. How am I to convert? Like we say in Kohen, the priesthood ain't dead. Y'all brothers just scared. Go ahead, bro.
I was just going to say, they don't even want to accept converts.
No. But they want to talk you into being one so they can then say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't get in. But they're going to let you admit that you are a convert so they can then tell you can't get in. You fall for that if you want to. No, I'm not agreeing that I'm a convert. But see, that's what we think. If we make it lighter on them, they'll accept us. They ain't never going to accept you. This thing is getting interesting, Israel. Pay attention. A lot of eyes are opening, which is also mean a lot of doors are about to get shut. Pay attention to some of these things that are happening right before our eyes. Folks have massive increase in profits, yet they laying off 10, 12,000 people. For what? You made more money and laid people off? Or some things are happening right before our eyes, Israel. All these houses being bought up, but they not selling them. What they keeping all these houses for? Some things are happening right before our eyes, Israel. As my elder would say, make sure you got your bonus stored up. And I ain't talking about physical. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.